Have you ever wondered why, in moments of absolute external well-being, you are suddenly overcome by a wave of inexplicable melancholy? Why, possessing everything our ancestors dreamed of, warmth, food, access to all the world's knowledge, do we feel more lost than ever before? Carl Gustav Jung, the man who gazed deeper into the abyss of the human soul than anyone in history, called this spiritual hunger. We have fed our bodies, but left our souls to die of starvation in the golden cages of modernity. But there is something more frightening, Jung argued. What you refuse to acknowledge within yourself will inevitably confront you from the outside, and you will call it fate. Today, this principle has taken on a new, dangerous form. In a world where information has become a weapon, manipulators have learned to see your shadow before you see it yourself. They find those dark, suppressed corners of your psyche you're afraid to admit to, and use them to control your reactions, your wallet, and your life. Today, we will conduct a deep exploration. We will dissect 5 traps of modern society that Jung considered symptoms of our collective illness. We will journey through labyrinths of self-deception, social masks, and false values. And I warn you in advance, the 5th trap is the most insidious. It disguises itself as virtue and morality, and it's a trap even the most self-aware among us fall into. If you do not understand its mechanism, you will forever remain a puppet in the hands of those who know your weaknesses better than you. Welcome to the channel Wisdom of the Ages. Today, our guide will be Carl Jung. We begin. Before we move on to the traps of modern society, we must understand the main tool of manipulation, your shadow. Jung defined the shadow as everything you find unacceptable within yourself. This isn't necessarily evil. It's your suppressed ambitions, your anger, your sexuality, your thirst for power, and even your hidden talents that were once, in childhood, called inappropriate. We build a fence around ourselves, which we call the persona, and strive to appear to the world only as good, only as polite, only as correct. But here's the irony. The brighter the light you try to emit, the darker and longer your shadow becomes. And if you don't see it, that doesn't mean it isn't there. It means it's behind your back. Why do manipulators see it before you do? Imagine a professional manipulator. It could be a boss, a toxic partner, or even an entertainment account on social media. They don't strike at your strengths. They look for a breach. If you suppress your need for recognition, deeming it vanity, the manipulator will simply start praising you excessively. Your hungry shadow will pounce on that praise, and you will become a slave to whoever provides you with that nourishment. If you consider yourself an absolutely peaceful person and suppress all anger, the manipulator will slowly violate your boundaries. You will endure until your shadow explodes in uncontrollable rage that will destroy your life, not the manipulators. They will make you out to be crazy, and you will believe it yourself. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Think back to a recent interaction. Was there a time when someone provoked inexplicably strong aggression in you? Or, conversely, a paralyzing sense of guilt? Stop. It's not that they are bad. It's your shadow reacting to their hook. Jung's first lesson is simple but painful. To become invulnerable to the manipulations of modern society, you must stop being good and start being whole. You must invite your shadow to tea. You must acknowledge, yes, there is anger in me. There is a thirst for power in me. There is selfishness in me. Only when you own your darkness can no one use it against you. But modern society does everything to ensure you never meet your shadow. And that brings us to the first and most widespread trap of our time. The first and most widespread trap that modern society has made us believe is the cult of normality. Jung once said a phrase that sounds like a verdict today. To be normal is the ultimate aim for the unsuccessful, for all those who have not yet found their way. In 2026, the word normality has become a tyranny. From childhood, we are taught to file down our rough edges to fit the standards of collective approval. We create what Jung called the persona, a social mask, a facade we present to the world so that we will be loved, accepted, and, most importantly, not rejected. The trap lies in the fact that we have begun to confuse the mask with our true face. We have so assimilated into the role of the productive employee, the ideal parent, or the enlightened blogger that the voice of our authentic self has become a barely audible whisper. Where's the trap? When you strive to be like everyone else, you renounce your uniqueness, the only tool that makes you alive. Jung called the process of finding oneself individuation. It's a path of separation from the crowd. Modern society, however, does the opposite. It stimulates a mass psychosis. Look at trends, at how people en masse change their opinions, tastes, and even appearance at the behest of algorithms. This isn't just fashion, it's a renunciation of the soul in exchange for safety within the herd. But safety in the herd is illusory. When the herd runs toward a cliff, normality becomes a death sentence. Spiritual hunger here manifests as a feeling of profound falseness. You smile for the camera, you buy things you should buy, but inside, emptiness grows. This emptiness is the price you pay for the right to be called normal. The second trap of our time is the elevation of noise to the status of a vital necessity. Jung noted a paradox. The more a person fears their inner emptiness, the louder they turn up the music in the external world. Today, we live in a state of permanent information intoxication. We fill every second of silence, in elevators, in queues, before sleep. But Jung warned, silence is not the absence of life. It is the presence of yourself within. It is in silence that your shadow and your true self begin to communicate. Why is modern society so afraid of silence? Because silence makes us inconvenient. A person who spends time in contemplation begins to see the falseness. They start to notice how they are being manipulated. Noise is the perfect veil behind which manipulators hide their actions. While your attention is consumed by the latest scandal online or an endless stream of short videos, you have no resources left to notice how your life is slipping through your fingers. The trap lies in the belief that being in the know about everything means living a full life. In reality, the more foreign thoughts you have in your head, the less room there is for your own. Jung said that modern man suffers from overcrowding of consciousness. We have turned into dumpsters for others' projections. Your way out. Reclaim your right to boredom. Jung believed that true individuality is born precisely from boredom and silence. If you cannot bear 15 minutes alone in a room without your phone, you are not the master of your psyche. You are its prisoner. The third trap is the oldest trap of humanity, taken to its absolute extreme in the 21st century. It is the belief that an inner crisis can be solved by external rearrangements. We call this horizontal movement. If I feel bad, I need to change jobs. If I feel emptiness, I need a new partner. If I cannot find meaning, I need to move to another country. We believe that happiness is the result of the right combination of external circumstances. Jung worked with the most successful people of his time, aristocrats, industrialists, millionaires, and he made a shocking discovery. Their depressions and neuroses were identical to the problems of the poor. It turned out that the soul has no bank account. The trap of modern society is that it substitutes the concept of psychological growth with the concept of social success. But you can reach the top of the social ladder only to discover that the ladder was leaning against the wrong wall. Jung described this as the midlife crisis, which today has become younger, hitting people at 20 to 25 years old. It is the moment when you bought the happiness pill that society advertised to you. You swallowed it, but the pain inside only intensified. Spiritual hunger cannot be satisfied by shopping. It is like trying to satisfy physical hunger by looking at pictures of food. The external world is merely a stage set. If the actor inside you does not know their role, no golden decorations will save the performance. Jung called for vertical movement, a descent into the depths of one's own unconscious. Only there, in the damp basements of your soul, are the real treasures hidden, not in shop windows. The fourth trap is the voluntary surrender of one's own reason to the collective. Jung watched with horror as entire nations fell into mass psychosis, and he warned that modern man is even more vulnerable to this than ancient people. The trap lies in the belief that if millions believe in an idea, it must be true. We fear becoming outcasts. We fear cancellation. We fear looking foolish in the eyes of the crowd. As a result, we replace our own living feelings and thoughts with ready-made templates. Jung said, the group experience takes place on a lower level than the individual experience. When you become part of a crowd, even a digital one, you inevitably become stupider. You lose contact with your own self and become a conduit for another's will. Manipulators love this trap. They don't need to convince you. They need to convince everyone else, and you will come to them yourself, afraid of being left alone. But Jung reminds us, the soul does not live in the crowd. Your uniqueness is what the crowd tries to take from you, calling it selfishness or weirdness. In truth, it is your only chance at salvation. We have arrived at the most dangerous trap I warned you about at the beginning. This is what Jung called identification with the archetype of good, or, more simply, the illusion of one's own holiness. What makes it so insidious? Unlike the previous stupidities, this one disguises itself as high morality and spiritual growth. It is when a person uses psychology or philosophy not to look into their own shadow, but to elevate themselves above others. Today, this manifests in a culture of victimhood and moral superiority. People compete over who can show more compassion, who is more aware, or who is more offended by the world's injustice. Jung saw this as the highest form of self-deception. If you consider yourself absolutely good and fight against evil on the outside, you are making the most terrible mistake. You are projecting your own shadow onto the world. Manipulators use the sanctimonious trap to stir up hatred with your own hands. They whisper to you, you are good, and they are not. You have the right to judge. And at that moment, your shadow takes complete control over you because it has put on a mask of virtue. Jung said, I would prefer to be whole rather than good. To be whole means to acknowledge that both a saint and a murderer, both a sage and a fool, live within you. Only one who has acknowledged the potential for evil within themselves is truly capable of good. The rest are merely playing a role until their shadow finds a reason to break its chains. This trap is the final station of spiritual hunger, when a person is so afraid of their own depth that they replace it with a cardboard halo. We have passed through 5 circles of modern madness. We have seen how the fear of the shadow, the craving for noise, the pursuit of possessions, the dictatorship of the crowd, and false holiness drain our souls. But Jung would not have been a great sage if he had not left us the key to the exit. That key is individuation. It does not mean becoming a better version of yourself by society's standards. It means becoming who you truly are, with all your scars, fears, and hidden strength. Your spiritual hunger is not a curse, it is a call. Your soul does not ask for new information, it asks for your attention. It asks you to stop feeding masks and start feeding the essence. Jung wrote, your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own soul. The world will continue to offer you its stupidities. Manipulators will continue to seek your shadow. But now you know the truth. You are not your mask. You are not the opinion of the crowd. You are the abyss in which light is hidden. Which of the 5 stupidities resonated most deeply with you today? Do not be afraid to admit it in the comments. Acknowledgement is the first step toward stopping your shadow from controlling you. Thank you for walking this path with the Wisdom of the Ages channel. And remember, the most important journey begins where the words of others end and your silence begins.